How are you guys? Is it too bright in here? Here we go. How are you? It's me, LB. I woke up this morning and I felt this pull to come on and spend some time with you guys today. So I'm here. I'm going to give it a little while and see if anyone rolls in. If not, you guys will catch it on the replay. All right, let's see. Let's get ourselves set up. Hi, how are you? I put a poll up this morning to see what you guys wanted to do a live stream on, and a lot of you guys voted and said that you wanted to do a collective coffee with all signs. Check the poll again. Yeah. All right, let's see. Hi, how are you? What's going on, Chloe? Hi. Hi, Sky. Hi, Irene. Hello from Norway. Hello. What time is it in Norway? These don't look great. How are you this morning? Happy Sunday. I mean, if you say so. I don't love these cards. Oh, wow. You already well into your day. It is 10:42 here. 10:42 in New Jersey. Oh, Lord. All right. I got some new decks this week. Hi, Sovereign Energy. Hello. I got some new decks this week that I've been playing with. I got this Hieronymus Bosch deck that came in the mail yesterday. It is so beautiful. I have to say, I have never opened up a deck before and had such like a visceral, physical reaction to it. It was very strange, but on the back it does say a deck of daydreams and nightmares, and I would have to agree. First of all, the packaging on this deck is extraordinary. I love that it opens up like this. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. And then the book on the inside. Look at this. How beautiful is that? Very beautiful is the answer. And then I pulled the cards out of the actual box. And you see how they're metallic plated? This beautiful blue color, which is interesting because I kept hearing blue, 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 blue all week. And I was like, what the fuck is up with this color blue? Like, I don't understand this deck. It is so interesting. But I have to tell you, if you are in any way, shape, or form like a tarot purist, you are not going to like this deck because, first of all of the major arcana, for the most part, are renamed. and they also have new meanings assigned to them. And when it comes to the minor arcana in this deck, there are 8 suits. Instead of the 4, there are 8 suits, each suit having 1 ace and 6 court cards. And that's it. So if you are in any way, shape, or form a tarot Rider-Waite-Smith purist, this deck is going to drive you crazy. But I'm not a tarot purist, so I'm having a really good time. And can I say, out of the 8 suits, 3 of them are swords, skates, and birds. And so it's just like, I found myself flipping through this deck and being both amazed and also infuriated. And like, I love that when it comes to my decks. Holy Spirit Halloween had a really cute, unique deck a couple months ago. Only told it. Oh, that's awesome. Omega Star, hello. Hi, Space Monk. Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. And I was sitting here with this deck last night, and I was having like an interview with it. I don't know what you guys do when you get new decks, but I like to have an interview with my deck. So I sit down and I shuffle it and I ask it to describe itself to me, right? It's like, introduce yourself. Like, what are you about? And then I ask it what it thinks about me. And then I ask it how we're going to work together, what it wants to get across, like all of that type of stuff. It's totally like a first date with a tarot deck. But I think that's the best way to do it. There's something in my hair in my face. Yeah, I think it's really important. I did a video for the worker bee tarot on Patreon probably like a year and a half ago, and it was about when you get a new deck and how to like bond with it. I used to do like this whole energy working process when I get decks, and I'd sit here with the deck and I'd meditate with it, and I'd like connect it to my heart space, and like I just did so much, just like bond with these goddamn decks. And then eventually something just clicked in my head, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just not going to do that anymore. Instead, I'm just going to have an interview with my deck. So it's been working out really well for me since. Just ask the deck, like, what do you have to say about yourself? Like, I can tell you something, though. From what I was able to gather from the interview last night, this deck is looking to make some trouble. It's looking to call out some bullshit. It's looking and it's going to find. It's absolutely going to find what it wants. We can ask it what it thinks of our stream today, the stream that we're going to do. What do you think of our stream today? Oh, okay. The King of Berries, energetic projects, coordination, leadership, and then the Baron of Birds, theft, concealment, and running away. So this is the Hieronymus Bosch tarot, and so obviously all of the images are different than you would see in traditional tarot decks. Coordination, leadership, energetic projects, theft, concealment, and running away. So, we might be digging into the shadow today. Perhaps that is what my trusty deck is telling me. Queen of Swords, trickery, a capable woman, downfall of your enemies. That is, interestingly enough, a theme that's been coming out in some of the readings. I think Pisces' monthly reading was called Woe to Your Enemies, and something about that came out in one of the other readings I did this past week. We have the Hierophant, which in this deck is called the Surgeon, up at the top. Health, removal of blockages, unnecessary worries. Oh, these are so good. Oh, shadow work. Everybody's favorite. Let's see. Hi, T. Do you introduce your tarot decks to each other? Do you like lay them all out and allow them to bond? Absolutely not. Absolutely. That sounds like way too much work. Absolutely. No. One, especially when it comes to my tarot decks, I don't mix my tarot decks that often. My oracle decks that I'll mix in with each other, they associate with each other when they get mixed up. No, that seems like so much work. That seems like so much to put away. And I have, like almost 40 decks. So that's not gonna happen. Just thinking about it, I'm like, should I be doing that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My decks don't need to get along with each other. They just need to get along with me, as far as I'm concerned. This deck is the Hieronymus Bosch. tarot deck. This just came out like this month. I think it just came out in like the last week or so. By Travis McHenry makes it. I had it in my cart on Amazon for a while because it wasn't released yet, and then I forgot about it, and then I was scrolling through Amazon a couple days ago, and I remember that it was in my cart, and I checked, and they only had one left in stock, and I went, that's a sign. I also got the new Stacey DeMarco deck as well. I posted on the community page a couple of days ago, and someone had commented and said, oh, can you please do a Taurus reading? Let Taurus be the first one to use this deck. And so I actually sat down that day and I tried to do like 3 different readings with the Stacey DeMarco deck, and none of the cards would come out. So the dark, deep, and dangerous Oracle deck is not ready for public consumption. So sometimes these decks have like a mind of their own. Truly. I'm not here to argue with them. If the deck doesn't want to work, I have 39 others to choose from, so I'm not going to stress myself out. How are you guys doing on this Sunday? I put up a poll before. Everyone wanted, I shouldn't say everyone, the majority of the votes said for collective zodiac readings, but I actually did give you guys some options, like personal readings, zodiac readings, pop-up tarot school. I don't know if any of you guys are aware, but I've been running an intuitive work group program on my Patreon for almost a year, in particular, tarot school. So I was like, I could potentially come on here and do a little bit of tarot school with you guys, but there's only a few voted for a studious live stream. Watching the World Cup and eating cookies. Oh, I think there's a cookie day that's coming up, like National Cookie Day, I think, is next week. Which seems kind of silly, but I think it is. Well, Sunday was good. But now it's 2 a.m. Monday. Oh my god. Holy shit. The time zone differences are bananas. Absolutely bananas. Watching the World Cup. Everybody's very excited about the World Cup. I'm not really a sports girl, so I haven't been paying attention, truthfully. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Sunday was good. Legendary is partying. That username always cracks me up. Okay, so let's see. So you want to do collective zodiac readings. Yes? Yes. That's 69% of the vote. So that feels like majority rule. So let's make a list of the zodiacs and see if I can properly timestamp them. I'm always so bad at timestamping. I'm dreaming up a new world, meanwhile sipping on coffee, about to do a reading in a few. Lovely. Wonderful. Start with, who should we start? I guess we'll just start with Aries, right? Because, like, why not? That makes sense. Make my life easy. Gemini. Virgo. Libra. Hi, Anna. How are you? Ugh. My allergies are killing me. They're killing me. Capricorn. Aquarius. Okay, I got them all. Got them all done. It's too bright in here. It feels like a little too bright in here. I know that everyone loves the sunshine, but I kind of don't love the sunshine. I know that's like a very unpopular opinion, but I was watching Wednesday on Netflix, and Morticia Adams, she like looked outside the limo, and it was like raining and storming, and she said, "Oh, finally, good weather." And that's how I feel. When it's raining and it's pouring, I think, good weather. All right, that's a little bit better. Everybody be cool. Wednesday's so good. Well, don't have allergies. Then I shan't. I shan't have allergies then. Alright, put you back here. Oh my god. Okay. Good? Good. I think so. Alright, I'm going to not use this Hieronymus Bosch tarot deck for this. I'm not going to use this deck for this. Absolutely not. Alright, let's put this back in here. It feels so quiet. I know I'm like very loud as I usually am, but it feels like very quiet in the house. It feels very quiet in here. The question is, what deck are we going to use for these? Let me pull out my Rider-Waite. Ace of Pentacles. I have learned so much from your readings or from your teachings on TikTok. Love your style and vibe. You are such a fresh and new energy compared to the other readers. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I love that. Yeah, if you guys aren't following me on Instagram or on TikTok, you're missing out because I'm really putting out some of my best work. I really am putting out some of my best work over there. It makes me feel like I should have messaged Elsie, my other reader friend. Told her I was live, but I forgot. Wasn't Bosch an alchemist? I believe so. I don't think we can really quantify him into keywords, but his art definitely still kind of dazzles and terrifies and amazes, even hundreds of years later. So, I'll go follow for this. Thanks, guys. You're so sweet. So we're gonna start with Aries. Let's do... Which deck? Which one do you want, Aries? Maybe we'll go with this red one. That seems very fitting for Aries. Okay, so... Let's look at December. How about that's a good topic, right? We need kind of a topic. Let's do December. What should Aries be aware of for December? You know, I'm getting a funny visual of like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and like Snow White, like those Disney princesses, but it's not them so much as it's like the little birds that like come in the window and like help them get dressed or like help them pick up stuff. There's like an energy of assistance for you in December, but it feels sort of subtle and like a little bit whimsical, which gives me the feeling of like divine intervention, like your spirit guides helping you out a lot, that type of thing. There's sort of a middle ground for you, Aries, in December about trusting that like help will arrive when it's needed, but also about speaking, asking for the help that you need from others, but also from your guides as well. Sometimes it can feel silly, like we just assume that like our guides know what we need and so they should just do it, right? But closed mouths don't get fed. So sometimes it really is helpful to specifically ask your spiritual team, your ancestors, for whatever it is that you need. All right. Thanks, Eve. Hi, how are you? Photo of you is amazing. I did that heritage AI thing that everyone on TikTok was doing because I wanted a pretty picture of me. I wanted a portrait. Let's see. Six of Swords. Okay, so Aries, we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. We have the Wheel of Fortune, and then we also have the Six of Swords. So it feels like, first off, in December, the most important thing for you to seek progress in is the quality of your own thoughts. I had done... Oh, no, is that... That's interesting. So I just did a series of horoscopes for the new full moon in Gemini that we have in a couple days. And I'm pretty sure that this is a similar message that came out in one of the zodiac signs I did. But the idea here is sometimes we lose sight of the process when we're so focused on the progress. And I think that's something that you're overcoming this month, Aries. That it's more important, like I said, for you to progress in terms of like your thoughts, your mental health, your self-esteem. And it feels like quality, like the quality of your thoughts, really promoting like this idea of optimism and silver linings much more than physical progress. Because sometimes when you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing, you're exerting all of your energetic faculties, and next thing you know, your mind is running away from you and you're feeling upset, and next thing you know, you're melancholy and you're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole. The Wheel of Fortune, it is a positive omen for your month. Like I said, there is a lot of assistance helping you, and I was talking about sort of like those birds coming in and helping those Disney princesses. Birds are very symbolic of the quality of our thoughts. So even if that's something that you need assistance with, feel free to also kind of like speak that into the world. Ask your guides, ask your ancestors for help sort of navigating your thoughts in a healthier way. You are also responsible for trying to catch yourself, checking yourself when your thoughts are going into scary places, or again, even what you are absorbing in terms of media, music, reading, that type of stuff. The Ace of Wands is at the bottom of the deck, so there's fresh energy coming in. I think that there's sort of this feeling that you have, Aries, that something big has to land in your lap to give you that big that big burst of fresh energy to get all of the other physical stuff that you want to get done. But in reality, the surplus of that energy is going to come from your mind. The Seven of Torches comes out underneath that, but there's a lot of fucking wands here, first of all. And then there's the Five of Wands that comes out as well, but it's coming out in reverse. So something in December you're also working through is not creating imaginary enemies where they do not exist. Stop looking for trouble where it doesn't exist. Because sometimes if you expect the shoe to drop enough times, eventually it just may. Or we can create issues where there aren't any. And what that is doing is it's exerting so much energy on your part to look around and make sure that you're safe, to make sure that nothing's happening, to make sure that you don't have some kind of battle in the flesh or the spirit. The next thing you know, you're absolutely exhausted, right? So, like I said, in December, your main job is to focus on the quality of your thoughts, to make your thinking very progressive and focus towards the future and not the past, to try and put aside the woulda, coulda, shouldas and instead focus on what you have now and trust that the universe is going to meet and match those efforts, and that there is a lot of assistance for you so long as, one, you are consistently working on it for yourself, but also that you're asking for it from your team. Very good. Very good. All in all, it looks like there's like a lot of peaceful resolution here, particularly within yourself. The Five of Wands is not just conflict and competition with people outside of us, but it's also different aspects of us that are also competing against ourselves, right? It's the enemy within. And so I see you kind of putting that battle down, and it's just leaving a lot more energy for you to focus on more pleasurable things. Oh no, that's really good. Oh, damn it, I didn't timestamp. Son of a nutcracker. Every time. Every time. I write the whole list. So let me see. So that ended at 23, 33. I don't know, maybe, maybe like 16 minutes? Question mark? Oh, man. Hi, outside therapy experience. Okay, good. Woo! All right. Let's see. Taurus. All right, write the timestamp down, Lauren. Write the timestamp. The ADHD is out of control. Truly out of control. 14. Okay. All right, Taurus, let's see. What's going on for you in December? The Five of Torches, the Five of Wands. Queen of Cups. And the Two of Pentacles. Wow. So there's... So there's something interesting going on here for you in December, Taurus, because when I'm looking at this Five of Torches and then this Queen of Cups here, there's sort of this feeling of like you and maybe others are like making this big trek up the mountain, but when you get there, like this Queen of Cups, it's almost like this grand prize moment that you're waiting for. It kind of comes up like empty. It's I think, was it maybe it's Libra? Libra had a little bit of a similar energy. You're both Venus ruled, about the idea of like doing all of this work and expecting like some big breakthrough, and then it doesn't turn out like exactly the way that you want it to turn out, and like being very disappointed by it. But when I'm looking at this Two of Pentacles, there is this feeling of like priorities, and in December focusing like much more on, again, like the process of it. There's an idea here of, Taurus, like you may have an end goal in mind. You may have a dream, some accomplishment, something that you want to achieve for yourself, and that's all fine, well, and dandy. But if in the pursuit of that you are neglecting yourself, you're abandoning yourself, you're running yourself dry, even if you get the thing that you want, it's not going to feel satisfying to you because you murdered yourself in the process, or you betrayed or neglected yourself in the process. So December is very much for you an exercise in being really present and finding purpose and joy and contentment in what you're doing. Does that make sense? Because the Three of Swords is coming out, right? So there's a lot of disappointment, but then there's also this Eight of Pentacles that comes out as well. There's an idea of quality over quantity here for you this month. There's also this question that it feels like it wants to be asked of you, like, Taurus, is it really worth it? Because if it is really worth it, then like each step has purpose. Like each step deserves your presence. Each step deserves like the gratitude or the struggle or the satisfaction, like whatever it is. That it's not just about the destination, like it really is about the journey. And I know that sounds really sort of corny, but say there's something you've been trying to accomplish and it's going to take you 2 years. Does the next 2 years mean nothing? Does your life only count when you end up getting that holy grail? Because it's the Two of Pentacles. It's like the cost benefit. There's nothing wrong with wanting what you want, pursuing what it is that you have your eyes on, dreaming the biggest dream possible for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's encouraged that we all have those aspirations, right? But we don't want to neglect sort of like the everyday. Does that make sense? So I think a lot of December for you is about prioritizing, creating more balance in your life. So that way, as you're pursuing whatever the top of your mountain happens to be for you, that you're also remembering your personal life and your personal needs. And again, being present and letting yourself live in the process, and not only allowing yourself to live or enjoy once you acquire that thing, because it's only a half victory if so. Make sense? Makes sense. A lot of this is also kind of calling your power back as well, because sometimes if we are trying to manifest or bring something into our life and like we squeeze it a little bit too tight, we can kind of suck all the air out of it. Do you know what I mean? Hi, Toby. Oh, good. You got here right in time. Hi, Brittany. Yes, I did Aries. I did Taurus. And now I'm going to do Gemini. I'm going to use a different deck, though. Let's see. The energy feels a little funny to me. Does the energy feel a little funny for you? Geminis trigger you? Why? Oh, do you know that well, first of all, we have the Gemini full moon coming up in a few days, so that might be part of it. That may be part of a little bit of the funny energy. Do you know what the funny energy is? As I split the deck and the Hangman is the only, like, card that somehow is upright. Do you know what the energy is? I'll tell you what the collective problem is right now. It's that there's like a push that's required of the collective right now. There's a restabilization, there is a push, like there is extra faith, but there's also extra effort that's being asked. Feels like of everyone, but the collective response seems to be like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And so there's a little bit of this resistance in the energy between like what wants to come in and like what actually wants to be done. And so the message that I've been pulling in for like the last couple of days is like kind of just accepting like what you have to do and like what is necessary. Does that make sense? Like maybe it's not fair, maybe you don't want to do it, maybe it's not right, but like it's necessary. And so it feels like, and we're at the end of the year and we have Mercury retrograde coming up, and that's probably part of like what this collective push is, honestly, is trying to get things sort of settled or in order or organized in such a way before Mercury retrograde hits on the 29th. What day is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. So like a month, like or 3, 1, 2, 3. So like 3.5 weeks from now, trying to get everything in order. So it's as smooth sailing as possible. Things are in the ground as far as they can be before Mercury retrograde hits. But it feels like a lot of the collective doesn't really want to do that. And I don't blame anyone because it's the end of the year. Everyone's tired. It's been like a ghoulish 3 years for everyone. And this past year has been sort of ridiculous, right? I don't know about you, but it's been sort of ridiculous from me. And so the idea that like there's more effort that's required, or things have to be reorganized, or things have to be reset, there's just resistance to it because it's like I'm tired and we don't really want to do it, but like it is necessary. I know for me over the past, I don't know, probably the past like 2 weeks, I'm having all of these realizations for myself of like, oh, that's what the problem is. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, that's what the solution is. Oh, that, it's like all of these like light bulb moments, and it's like the solutions that I completely was passing over before seem so simple in my mind now, but they're so simple that it almost seems annoying. Like, why didn't I realize that sooner? Why didn't I know? Why didn't anyone tell me? Like, you know? And so it's sort of, it reminds me of in school, right before like summer break hits, and there's like that last little bit of time, and you know, in like a month, you're going to be, you know, in your flip-flops, swimming at the beach, hanging out, but like you still have to sit through English class for just like another 4 weeks. That's what this energy feels like. So in a lot of ways, the collective's like present, but not accounted for, right? The lights are on, but no one's home. You have a lot of Gemini friends. You're a Gemini moon. Getting a jump start on the New Year resolutions. Don't forget with like New Year resolutions too that like we're operating off of the Gregorian calendar, which is not really the best calendar to be using necessarily. A lot of people like to kind of set those intentions in September for like Rosh Hashanah. A lot of people do them by the lunations, new moons, full moons. A lot of them do them by the equinoxes and the solstice. So it's just kind of which calendar you feel most connected to. What do you think about both Mercury and Mars being retrograde as we enter 2023? Is the live lagging for everyone? It's lagging for Brittany. Is it lagging for anyone else? We have a saying here. No, she'll be right. So she'll be right. What do you think about both Mercury and Mars being retrograde as? Honestly, I think it's a little disappointing, and I think it's a little anticlimactic for the beginning of the year. But maybe it's kind of realistic because we always think January, it's a new year, everything's fresh, like everything should start getting going now. But in reality, in January, we're in the middle of winter, and that's actually not a season for planting. That's a season for like hunting. It's a season for reaping. It's a season for sowing. So when I realized that transit, I got a little bit disappointed at first. And I was like, oh no, like I have projects, like I have plans, I have new classes coming out in the new year, right? And I'm like, that energy is it's really going to get in the way of what I'm trying to do. But upon thinking about it, because I'm realizing that the launch of some projects and like the launch of some classes, I might want to push them back until after the 18th. And so in my mind, I'm like, that throws off my system. And as like an autistic adult, I'm like, I need my systems in order to feel safe and confident in a chaotic world. But I think it's going to be all right. And I think in a lot of ways, it's going to slow us down in the beginning of the year just enough. So that way we have like a couple extra beats to just think about what it is we do want from this next year and what we do want to plan and how we do want to move through it, because the world and the calendar and New Year's Eve, like, it's always just trying to push us forward and forward, and it's so much hustle and it's so much urgency and it's so overwhelming. And I think just as people, like, we have a hard time keeping up with that all of the time. Not every year is a year to be like reaching for the stars. Some years are just a year that you get through your 12 months, right? So even though initially I was a little disappointed by recognizing that astrology would be present as we cross over into 2023, I can see that it can have many more benefits than obstacles for us. For me, my new beginning only starts after an event takes place, so that can be any time of year for me. I'm sure it's the same for others. And the events are always like 10 months for some reason. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if that's your own like internal and spiritual calendar, yeah, whatever works, you know? I find I work with the seasons a lot, so it's like every 3 or 4 months, right? It's like quarters. It's like business. It's like the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter. They all have different themes. They all have different lessons. They all have different energies. Okay, so let's see. Gemini. 30, 36, 30. All right, Gemini. Let's see what's going on for you in December. Because I'll just keep going off. It's a Sunday. I'll just keep going off on a tangent forever. My birthday or Aries season, astrological year. Yeah, that's cool. Ooh, Ace of Wands. Okay. That feels really creative to me for some reason. The Four of Cups, that feels really creative to me. You're bored. And the Ace of Cups. And the Hermit. Okay. So, listen, here's the skinny. Here's the skinny, Gemini. And I've said it a bunch of times, and I'll say it again, is you are a terror amongst us when you get bored. And that is what this is looking like to me. What this is looking like is that every time you get bored or you're understimulated or you don't have something new to kind of capture your attention, you get depressed, you get kind of melancholy, and then with the Hermit here, you kind of slink back into the shadows. Does that make sense? And so it feels like December is a month of you getting over your creative block, and particularly with the Hermit here, recognizing the tools that you require in order to kind of bring out that creative genius. Like I was saying before, it's like neurodivergent, autistic, kids, adults, like we need systems for stuff. With the Ace of Wands and the Four of Cups, there's also something about like kind of learning to honor humble beginnings, because this Ace of Wands wants to bring in like new creativity, new ideas, new movement for you. But with that Four of Cups, it feels like, well, that's not what I was expecting. That's not really what I meant. That's not really what I was looking for. No, thank you. And so I think in a way, Gemini, you don't sabotage opportunities that you already have. You sabotage new opportunities by not taking them because they don't look the way you think that they should look, or you don't think you're going to be interested in it at first. But if you applied yourself, if you gave it a little bit of time, I did that collective message a couple weeks ago about a toehold. Sometimes something small will come in, just like a glimmer of an idea, just like a possibility of an opportunity, just like a casual conversation. Something small will come in that can lead to long-term success, right? It's just a toehold. It's something that seems relatively insignificant. It does not seem that interesting, but it can be built upon, or it may be intending to lead you somewhere where there is a bigger idea, or there is more mobility, or there is, a group or a person that has the ability to assist you. Like sometimes you have to work with small beginnings work with what you have. And there's also an idea here, Gemini, that is like when you have an idea, you imagine the whole idea, the full concept of the entire thing. And so having to go back and work on some of these smaller, more minute, more mechanical day-to-day details, it feels really boring and unsatisfying for you. But again, the idea is like a lot of little steps will get you further than like a lot of big leaps that don't happen so often. So as I said, I think a lot of December for you is working through your creative block by finding systems and routines, tools in your toolbox that can help get you back in that creative flow. I also think that you're working on not sabotaging new opportunities when they come in looking a little bit different than you expected. I also think in December that you're working through trying to stay where you are and not run away or go and hide, kind of like sulking in the corner like a kid when it kind of feels like it's not going the way that you want to. So this is also a lesson in flexibility for you as well, Gemini. So all in all, if you are able to master all of this stuff, it feels like you're going to be better, stronger, and smarter for it. But it's just about you not being your own worst enemy and you being more flexible in your thinking. Hi, Dave. Eve is amazing. Thank you so much, Eve. Yes, Amy Gill. Hello. This is EGE. Loving away past a shadow. So let's see. Who do we have next? Cancer. 41, 28. Okay. Let's see, Cancer. And don't forget, all of your full monthly readings are on Patreon in the Bumblebee and in the Hive tier for you. And then on Monday, tomorrow, yeah, like Monday, what is that? That's tomorrow. And then tomorrow on the community tab, I'll post the individual Vimeo links for the full monthlies for December in case you are not on the Patreon and you only want your singular one. The Knight of Wands, and the Eight of Cups, Cancer, and the Devil. Yep, that sounds about right to me. That sounds about right to me. So, how do I want to phrase this? Cancer, if you look back through your archives, through your past experiences, I wonder how many times you were booked and busy and occupied doing your own thing, only for someone to barge into your life and completely throw you off course. How many times has that happened? Because I think that December is you finally learning how to master that and stay on task even when other people come in and stir the pot. Because the Knight of Wands has presented itself, and the Knight of Wands is an energy that comes in for a good time and not a long time. It's very brash energy. It moves very quickly. It moves in and it also moves out. I see the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck, so with the combination of fire and water, that can be a little bit steamy. So it's the idea of you've committed yourself to being single and working on yourself, focusing on your business, whatever it is. All of a sudden, someone from the past, they pop up, the chemistry is still there. Next thing you know, what happened to all the other stuff that you were doing? We don't know because Cancer's busy shacking up with this one. Or again, you're busy doing your own thing. Next thing you know, a family member comes in or a friend comes in and they have a really big issue or they want help with something or something's going on or they have a problem with you that you didn't know about. And then next thing you know, again, what happened to all of your progress? What happened to your life? We don't know because Cancer is too busy dealing with this situation. But the Eight of Cups comes up next, which gives me the impression that this month it might be a little bit different. That if someone or something comes in trying to distract you or trying to pull you into an issue or trying to pull you off course, that in fact you will actually be sending them away or you will be separating yourself from that situation, because the Devil card comes out as well. There's a recognition here of like ways that you participate in toxic patterns by entertaining other people whose like sole purpose is to come into your life and throw you off track, right? We have Judgment, and we also have the Eight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, and so this feels like a commitment, and in fact maybe even like a mission statement that you're putting out into the world about what you're focused on. Your work, your creativity, your personal mastery, getting through and done with the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. Because again, it feels like someone or something comes in and you get wrapped up in that, and the next thing you know, even like the small things that you have to get done for the week don't get done. Shit like running to the bank, doing your laundry, going grocery shopping. So at the end of the week, you're behind on your work, all your clothes are dirty, and your milk is sour. But the person that ran in got all of like the goods. Does that make sense? And so I think you're overcoming that this month. You're recognizing the red flags. You're recognizing the patterning, not just in these people. There could be certain people that only seem to reappear in your life when you happen to be very focused and on track and like doing really good. It's almost like the idea of they can sense when things are looking up for Cancer, and then they kind of come in and they kind of poach from that energy. You're recognizing that though. You're recognizing the pattern. You recognize the way that you participate in the pattern, and you're choosing differently, which is good. And that's allowing you to have the progress that you need. You may have to, with Judgment here, you might not only have to make the judgment call about that, but you might have to be very vocal about it, because this trumpet really sticks out to me today. So you might have to set verbal boundaries with people as well, right? My phone is on do not disturb. I'm not taking calls today. I can't come in and help you. The answer is no. Remember that your no's are just as holy and sacred as your yeses. So you might have to be like a little bit verbal about it. With the Devil here as well, some people might like pull on your heartstrings or try and guilt trip you, but it's kind of important that you, again, don't entertain it for too long. I'm sorry. You can be diplomatic. You know, I'm sorry. I wish I could. I just don't have the bandwidth right now. Good luck with everything. Turn around. Get back to doing what you're doing. Because I also feel this energy of like catching up. Like you have things that you've been working on and you want to get them finished within a certain amount of time. And so there is like a natural challenge or opposition to the deadline that you have in your mind. Does that make sense? But all in all, it feels like you're more committed to meeting your deadline and breaking this pattern than you are in participating in anymore. So that shows a lot of growth on your behalf. So I like it. It's good. Retrograde will be lit. Yeah. Nice Sunday chill. Thanks, Mrs. EGE. That's right. No is a full sentence. Alright. Yeah, there we go. I was like, my cards are all flipped around. Let's see. Who do we have? Leo. 47. 45? 47, 45. Alright. Let's see, Leo. What do we have going on for you in December? High Priestess. The Four of Cups. And the Chariot. With the Queen of Wands. And the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, so this is interesting. A lot of what this is immediately saying to me is the importance of getting out of your head. Getting out of your head. The High Priestess is a very private character. Yes, it talks about your intuition and your higher self and connection to the ethers, absolutely. But, you know, like historically, the High Priestess has always been a very private, mysterious, secretive type of character. And with the Four of Cups here as well, sort of this withdrawn, melancholic, like non-participatory energy, I think that, and the Chariot comes up next. And so, one, there's this idea that you have, Leo, that you can, like, spend all your time by yourself or be really in your head or play so much to, like, your intuitive abilities. You can manifest, you can do all of this stuff, and what you want is going to come through. I'm not necessarily saying that it can't work that way, but the Chariot is an energy of Cancer, right? It's your neighbor. And the Chariot talks about not just your intuition, but it talks about your instinct. It talks about your will. It talks about your drive. It talks about your physical effort. Like with the Queen of Wands, again, another physical card. The Ten of Pentacles, another physical card. There is a big emphasis for you this month about like getting out of your head, coming out of the temple, and coming back into the real world. Because one, what's the point in having all of this universal esoteric knowledge, all of this intuitive skill, if you're not going to use it to help you navigate the Ten of Pentacles, the outside world, right? The Chariot, and especially this Queen of Wands, is asking for like a much more physical involvement for you this month. You're a lion, right? You're not a fish, you're not a goat, you're not a bat, you're a lion. Leos thrive off of attention. Leo thrives off of being the energy in the center of the room. Leos thrive off of physicality. So you can dip into the ethereal waters of the High Priestess when you need guidance, when you need, you know, to tap into your higher self, when you need things, even when you just need to balance your own energy. That's amazing. But you can't live there. That's why you're the sun in the major arcana. That's why you are strength, and that's why you're not the High Priestess. And so I think that you may be realizing that sitting in the dark, esoteric corner of your mind isn't actually helping you. It may actually be hindering you, and it's preventing you from putting in like the physical action and involvement that is necessary. One, for you to feel better, and two, for you to feel the results that you're actually looking for. Because a big thing for Leos is about connecting to others. It's about your pride. It's about your pact. So without them, without connecting to them, you can only get so far. There are some signs that can do everything on their own, but you are one of those signs that require community at a much higher level, not just for your own satisfaction, for your own joy and experience, but also because it is required for your progress as an individual. Right? And so, as I said before, a lot of December is about getting out of your head. It's about climbing out from behind the veil and getting back into life. And I think once you do, it'll probably be a little uncomfortable if you've just been floating in a lot of these waters for a while. But if you're able to do it, very quickly, it feels like you start feeling like yourself again. And you kind of have this, oh, that's right, I am the main character. I forgot. But I actually remember I am the main character. I am that bitch. I'm a Leo. I forgot. And you get back to it and you start feeling better. And I think that that's a good thing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I have a secret for retrograde so I don't stress on my mistakes. Well, you know, mistakes, learning lessons. Hi, Maddie. Wild child. I'll make a video explaining me. Trust me, it's a game changer. Watch out. Omega's got all the tips. All the tips and the tricks. What's my biggest piece of advice for Mercury retrograde? Watch your mouth. That's especially with the Mars retrograde. My natal Mars is in Gemini, so I know this transit very well. The best thing that you can do during a Mercury retrograde and a Mars retrograde, especially in Gemini, right, ruled by Mercury, is watch your fucking mouth. Like, be careful what you say in all regards. In all regards. Because be careful what you say to yourself, because it's a time when we can be overly critical to ourselves. Also, watch what you say to other people, because people that would normally be like lambs, all of a sudden when we get in these retrogrades, especially with Mars, they start acting like lions. Like people got hands. And I also think that it's a good transit for reflection on intention versus impact, because oftentimes people will do things and they'll say things and they'll go, well, that wasn't my intention. This was my intention, but intention does not equal impact. You can have the intention of saying something illuminatory. You can have the intention of doing something good, but the impact of it can be much different. The impact of it can be actually incredibly harmful or deeply offensive to people. And so it just makes you a little bit more mindful, or at least that's what it asks you to do, is to be more mindful of your own motives, cause and effect, what you're saying to yourself, to others. It also asks you to look at how reactionary you can be as well. Do we think before we speak? Are we taking an assessment of something before we involve ourselves? Even this morning, I saw something on TikTok and I was like, I'm going to write a comment about this. And I stopped myself and I said, you know what, Lauren? Not today. Not today. I'm not getting involved in that. I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it. And you know what? That's the right decision. That's the right decision. I had to watch what was coming out of my mouth. That's my, in my 31 years of life, that's my big piece of advice for Mercury and Mars retrograde. Just watch fuck out. Just be careful. Less is more. Less is more. Cool. The last one killed me. As a Libra, my brain went overdrive until I had a friend do tuning forks on my head. Oh no. I have tuning forks. You have an Aries Mercury and have to watch your words always. You know what? I'm lucky as a Mars Gemini because I'm a good debater. I'm very mindful of what I say. I also completely understand both sides of an argument before I involve myself. And as a rising Libra, I am deeply and morally fair. Even if it means I lose, and occasionally it means that I'm wrong or I have to lose something. If it's fair, it's fair. Garrett! Say less, smile more. Hey, you don't have to smile if you don't want to. I don't speak. I talk a lot. I talk a lot. But that's the thing, like, I'm from Jersey. I talk a lot. I have the gift of gab. And so, statistically, with as much as I speak, I am bound to say something stupid. Like, I'm just bound. And so, I'm blessed for having the astrological placements I do because it just kind of creates a natural filter, right? So, the statistical odds of me putting my foot in my own mouth dramatically drop, which is really helpful for me. My Mars and Mercury are both Virgo. Oh, I love Virgo placements. I was just watching, I was reading an article by another tarot reader, and they were saying something about, like, I don't have a lot of Aquarius clients. Most of my clients are Virgos, or I have a lot of Virgo clients. And I was like, yeah, Virgos love tarot readings because my biggest collective on YouTube has always been my Virgo peeps. So there's something about it. Oh, your Mars in Pisces? Aw. Oh, that's such a nice. Oh, I love it. Jersey. Yeah, of course I'm from Jersey. There's no other. This ain't an accent. Let's see. Virgo. What's going on for you in December? It's the mercurial energy, yeah. Virgo people want to know everything. That's exactly right, Elizabeth. And I have Virgo in the 12th house. So what you want to know, I'm going to find out. And I'm going to give it to you. In Philly. Ooh, the moon, Virgo. What does Virgo need to know about December? The moon. Nothing. Nothing. The Page of Swords. Ooh, very inquisitive. And the Sun. Wow. Wow. With the King of Pentacles and the Three of Cups. Oh, this is very interesting to me. So when I'm looking at these cards, Virgo, it feels like, interesting. You're kind of the way shower, is what I want to say. Because the Page of Swords is a very talkative and it's a very inquisitive character. And it feels like you are questioning the moon. It's like you may be playing 20 questions with God. You're doing a lot of like introspection. You're doing a lot of research. Probably both like naturally, but also like intellectually, philosophically. It feels like you're asking these questions and then like you're bringing them into the light. But then with the Three of Cups and the King of Pentacles, there's a recognition here that you are set up in such a way to do the things that you want to do, that you feel like you're kind of like divinely created to do. It feels like a purpose type of energy. You're coming deeper into your purpose in December. But there's also this sense of maturity that you realize, even though like you have the natural talent and skill to do it, that there is more research, there is more reflection, there is more wisdom that is always needed. And so I see you throughout the course of this month double crossing your T's, double dotting your I's, like making sure you've turned over every stone possible. The King of Pentacles is a very egalitarian type of energy. It's very generous. It cares about other people. And the Three of Cups talks about sort of like group celebrations, parts of a whole, everyone coming together. And so it just feels like this is a month where you're really bringing your A game in a way that you haven't before. And it's because you're doing your extra due diligence and you're operating in such a level of humility that you're going forward through your own self-motivation to ask the questions of the universe, of your team, to read the books, to do the research, to make sure that like when you come to the table that like you are putting something really significant on it. Does that make sense? The Four of Swords. They're also on the split. There also might be like a lot of connections that you're having this month. It feels like old dreams. Like old dreams that you never really understood what they were about. All of a sudden are like coming back up into your mind and they're connecting with things that are happening now, which I think is really interesting. There's a lot of like tying up loose ends here. Spiritually, because I feel a lot of energy and pressure here. Spiritually, you're also kind of expanding as well. So I'm wondering if in many ways you maybe are challenging yourself this month spiritually in terms of like your gifts and your intuition, your reading abilities, like what you can do, how well you can divine, how far out into the future you can divine. You're intentionally challenging yourself. It almost feels like Seven of Wands energy, because that can be at times like a self-imposed challenge. It's interesting. It's almost like like the tables have turned. You're so used to like the universe or God or whatever you vibe with, like testing you or challenging you or like trying to push you to see what it can pull out of you. It almost feels like you are taking on that process for yourself this month. You're self-electing it. It's not a terrible strategy though, because if you're always the one kind of pushing yourself forward, then there isn't really a need for like divine interference. So I wonder if that's also kind of like this clever little bit of strategy that you are employing this month as well. With this King of Pentacles, there is also this like top of your field type of energy. It's not that you are being crowned necessarily the top of your field. It's a desire. Some of this feels a little bit like a fantasy, like you desire to be considered like the top of your field or good counsel, or like Virgo is the go-to, like Virgo is the standard. And so it feels like you're doing everything within your power in order to push yourself to that level. Because the King of Pentacles has this energy of solidification. Not being able to be pushed off your throne, not being able to be backtracked, not being able to be interfered with, because what you're establishing is so solid. And part of the reason for that solidity is because you're asking every possible question that your brain could come up with of both the natural world and the spiritual world. So you're covering both sides of those coins. It's really cool. It's really cool. The sun is interesting as well with the moon here, because it's sort of bringing forth a version of yourself, Virgo, that like you always suspected that you had, but you've never seen it before. This is interesting. I did have it in me after all. Which is nice. This is cool. This is very interesting, Virgo. Yeah, Eve, the moon and the sun. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that there for you, because I feel myself taking on that energy and wanting to ask every single question. But yeah, so get your books, get your pencils, get your meditation music, Virgo, and then get ready to put in that elbow grease, because you're fucking going places. You're about to surprise yourself in some really interesting ways. Leave it to Virgo to be fair. Look at that, the Seven of Wands. I told you. I told you. So I haven't lost my touch. Okay, who do we have next? Libra. An hour and... thank you so much. Of course! My absolute pleasure. Yes, question everything. Universal laws and what we know about creation. Yeah. You should question everything. In my mind. 4 and 5 minutes. An hour and 5 minutes. You should question everything. You should question, especially when it comes to spirituality. You should be questioning things all of the time. You should be questioning the laws of creation. You should be questioning manifestation abilities. Like, you know, you have to remember that spirituality is not hard science. There's no control groups like there. And so, especially when it comes to spiritual rhetoric, stuff that you're hearing from other people, different techniques and modalities, you should be experimenting. You should be questioning them, because if you don't, you will fall into spiritual psychosis. So let's see. Libra. What's going on in December for Libra? Ooh, is that Judgment? It is Judgment. That has a much more serious tone than whoever had that next. The 10 of Pentacles. This has a whistleblower type of energy to it. I'm not gonna lie. Strength. The 5 of Cups. Death. The Empress in reverse. Oh, this is interesting. This feels really specific. The 10 of Cups. This feels really specific. This might not be for every Libra, but there's a big whistleblower type of energy that I'm pulling off of this card. It feels like something is wrong. Something is wrong. Like some kind of unjustified ending. With the Empress in reverse and the 5 of Cups and death, it was almost like something got taken away too soon, or something wasn't fixed in time and it created a bigger issue, and there might have actually been like some real collateral damage for people. You could be one of those people, Libra. You could also be observing this from a little bit of the outside. You may be taking it upon yourself to be a whistleblower or to bring it into the light. The 10 of Pentacles can talk about corporations or businesses of like that have more than 200 employees. And so this could be like a union violation. This could be like an HR problem, an issue with like some higher ups in your company or in a school board or something like that that you may be bringing to light. When the Empress comes out in reverse, at times for me it can create like a disconnection of like a spiritual relationship, feeling spiritually tapped in. It feels like hope got squashed here. That's what that feels like. Like hope got squashed. Something happened or something was not made right in the way that it should have been. Death came early. And it feels very unjustified, but for some reason, but you're in two separate piles, so it kind of makes me feel like you're a little bit outside of this as an observer, and you seem to be, it's poking on your justice button, and it feels as if it is inspiring you to finally stand up and say something, which is interesting, Libra, because in December, what it seemingly is doing is putting you in a position where you're forced to rock the boat, and that's not really your style. As a Venusian, as a Libra, right? You're about creating balance and you're about creating harmony. You don't like to rock the boat. You actually like to steady the waters. And so the fact that you are self-electing yourself to be the pot stirrer is actually saying a lot, because it is good that you are so fair and that, see this eye? It's almost like it's my right eye too. So it's like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. That you are very fair. You do like to keep things balanced, but sometimes it has you kind of betray yourself in your own moral and ethics, because I wonder how many times in the past something has happened and you've wanted to self-advocate, or you've wanted to stand up for someone, or you've wanted to make some noise, but it just what did not seem like in your character. And so for all of the times that you have been incredibly fair and diplomatic, there may be an equal amount of times in which, like, deep down inside you felt a little bit like a coward. And December is a month that you prove to yourself that you're brave. That doing the right thing is more important than being liked. sometimes making noise is better than being quiet. And that's a personal character development type of thing. It's not spiritual development for you this month. It's character development. That sometimes something has to be said. Even if it means people don't like you. Even if it means you're temporarily unpopular. Even if it means you have to go against the grain. But you can build a new level of respect for yourself by doing that. Exactly. Peace at any cost is our shadow. It's also a trauma response too, but it's sort of the idea if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Right? So, interesting. Libra is acting as our activist. Libra is our community activist this month. It's interesting. I like that for you. You stopped reading a year ago because you wanted answers from your higher self. Reading what? Like, reading tarot cards? Reading books? Speaking straight to my hi Paige. In my counseling career as a Libra rising. That's a perfect career for a Libra rising. Spiritual books. Yeah. Do you know what? And I was talking about that. Was I talking about this? Was I just thinking about talking about this? I think it was one of these like arguments that I had in my head that I never actually spoke out of my mouth. I think that a lot of people would be better suited to studying art, to studying philosophy more so than like spirituality, because really when we get into the essence of what most of you want when it comes to spirituality, it's the expansion of consciousness, it's to think new thoughts, it's to question things in a different way, and also to question yourself, like, who am I, right? Emily Dickinson, I am nobody, who are you? Are you nobody too? There's a pair of us, don't tell. They'd banish us, right? Like, so for a lot of you, you'd be much better served by reading poetry and studying philosophy. You want to do shadow work? Don't buy a shadow work book. Buy Marcus Aurelius. Buy Seneca. Epictetus. Study Stoicism. You want to do shadow work? You want to tame the ego? Study Stoicism. You'd be much better served. So let's see. Scorpio. I'm actually going to switch decks. We're going to go over here. We're going to go back to the Cosmic Slumber. And it's not because spiritual books, like, don't have validity, but, like, a lot of them are kind of sus. To be perfectly honest with you. Like, some of them are kind of sus. And a lot of them are rooted in, like, a lot of ableism and racism and, like, just a lot of bullshit. It's like, I used to be the biggest Dolores Cannon stan. I was like, the 3 waves of volunteers, oh my god. If you actually sat down and listen, one, Dolores Cannon never did anything, like, for herself. She just recorded other people's past life regressions, right? It's like those who can't do, teach type of thing. But if you actually, like, watch some of the interviews that she's done about people who have, like, unalived themselves because of, like, deep depression and pain and trauma, and how she explains that people who unalive themselves incur a karmic debt because they didn't finish the karmic cycles with people here on earth. And it's like, how evil and cruel do you have to be? Like, how lost in the sauce can you be to look into a crowd and tell the mothers of children who have unalived themselves because of mental health issues that they are, like, suffering in the ethers and they have twice as many, like, karmic entanglements that they now have to work through? Like, I don't know if I can call you, like, a good teacher or a good person if you do that, right? And so, study Marcus Aurelius, study philosophy, read some poetry. It'll serve you better, because there are a lot of really good spiritual resources, but truthfully, most of them you're going to find within your own cultural folk practices, not by appropriating other people's practices. And a lot of these teachers are fucking sus as hell. So you have to take all of it with a grain of salt. Take me with a grain of salt. What do I know? You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I have to change something. 24, 14. Yeah, that'll do. All right, Scorpio. A lot of tangents today on a Sunday. Living life helps too. Yeah, so like I said, it's one of the readings I just did. Sometimes you get so lost in spirituality that you forget that like life is happening all around you. Like life is happening. 5 of Swords. Collective advice for considering. Thanks, Holly. Thanks, Holly. I stopped reading spiritual books long ago because that is the author's story, and I have my own story, plus you never know how much they'll publish it. Absolutely, my life. I 100% agree with you. Scorpio. Ooh, 5 of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune. The Princess of Cups. Chariot. The Queen of Swords. Hold for production here. So, I think part of what you're doing in December, Scorpio, it's like an exercise in neutrality. I have the 5 of Swords, I have the Wheel of Fortune, but then I also have this Princess of Cups. And so, one, there's obviously like a separation here between like your ideas, your beliefs, your thoughts with that of other people's. But with the Wheel of Fortune and this Princess of Cups, it's also the idea of like being able to have like compassion for others, right? So oftentimes in the world that we live in, if we don't agree, if we have different belief systems, depending on what they are, of course, but that means that like we cannot find any common ground. It means that we cannot be civil with each other. It's the baby and the bathwater type of syndrome. And so I think in December, Scorpio, you're learning how to not throw out the baby with the bathwater, or how to recognize when like you may not be in alignment with this environment or a situation or other people, but without completely writing them off as like terrible. I know I hear myself because I just called Dolores Cannon a bad person. But that's my business. That's my business. I'm not Scorpio. But does that make sense? It's the idea of like, I don't agree with my parents, or me and my siblings do not touch on this issue, but I also have the ability to see it from the other side and have compassion and just be a little bit more neutral about it. Because you have the Chariot, you have the Empress, and you have the Queen of Swords in reverse. So I also think that you're learning this month how to win more bees with honey than vinegar. You might be taking a little bit of a page out of Libra's book and figuring out how to be slightly more diplomatic in your dealings with others, and maybe even your dealings with yourself as well. I think with this Princess of Cups and this 5 of Swords, you're learning to have a greater sense of compassion for yourself and like the issues that you work through as an individual. Like some days we're not operating at full capacity, and it's maybe because we're struggling with our mental health, or maybe we're just really tired or emotional that day, or something is happening. And so I think you're learning how to give yourself a little bit more grace. And I think that in the gentility of that approach, it's actually allowing for new solutions. The Empress and the Chariot wants to come forward as new solutions to come forward that can actually create a smoother trajectory for you moving forward. I also think you're learning how to not take things so personally with that Queen of Swords in reverse as well. So again, if people don't agree with you, or you incur some kind of criticism or something like that, I think you're learning how not to take it to heart. You're recognizing everyone has a different opinion of us, right? Every person that has ever met you has a different opinion of who you are. And so little of it actually has anything to do with who you actually are deep down on the inside. And when you remember that, you're able to not personalize every criticism, every offhanded comment, outside validation, all of that stuff. It allows you to retain more of your power on the inside. And doing that with that Wheel of Fortune, it kind of acts as a generator, and it makes you more magnetic to the things that you actually do want. So I think in December, you're learning how to focus your attention more on the things that positively serve you. I think you're learning to be much more neutral and diplomatic in your dealings with others, and I think you're learning how to depersonalize stuff that has more to do with other people than it does to do with you, which is giving you a lot of freedom and thereby allowing you to step into kind of the fertility that the Empress has. So, it's not too shabby, Scorpio. Neutral Scorpio. That sounds pretty interesting, actually. Yeah, it's just for December. Who knows what they're going to do in January, but it's an exercise in neutrality. Scorpio has been carrying Libra's torch for a bit now. A little bit, yeah. I think it's kind of necessary because, you know what, if I look back on the majority of the Scorpio readings that I've done, both over here on YouTube as well as like the monthly readings, it feels like Scorpio's been just dealing with the same lesson, just like different iterations of the same lesson for like a year and a half. And so taking a page out of another Zodiac's book was probably going to help get them over that hump. Progress, Scorpio. Bare minimum. Acting as a wingman. Let's see, Sagittarius. I have 2 monitors. I have my phone for the thing, and then I have the actual like live stream on my computer so I can see your comments. So I have the time. It's a lot. I'm lost. I don't know where I am. 20. Hour and 20 minutes. Sagittarius, happy birthday to my Sagittariuses. Temper, intensity. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. We're moving and grooving though. We haven't been on here for too long. We're almost done. Eve, you are the wind beneath my wings. And don't let anyone ever tell you anything different. Sometimes there is a method to the madness, I agree. Yeah, we're making good time. We got a train to catch. No, we don't. Maybe where we're going, there are no roads. Let's see, Sagittarius. I haven't done a live stream in such a long time, too, so. King of Swords. Okay. What are you? You want to come out here. The 6 of Cups. And the 4 of Swords with the Ace of Wands. How interesting. Well, okay, so this is sort of an interesting saying. What wants to come through, Sagittarius, is, you know how there's that saying, if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it? The way it wants to be rephrased is if you don't stop visiting the past, you are doomed to repeat it. Because with the King of Swords, the 6 of Cups, and the 4 of Swords, it's like finally putting maybe even like some family stuff to bed, Some of this feels like family. Some of this feels like the woulda, coulda, shouldas from your earlier years, like your adolescence. It's like, wow, you know, if I knew what I knew now when I was 18, I would have done this differently. Or, had I not had that job, I would have met that person. And then, like, I could have avoided that whole mess over there. It's that type of thing. And I feel like this month you're being really disciplined with yourself with this King of Swords. Going, is it relevant to what I'm doing next? Is it helping what I'm trying to accomplish now? Is it serving me in this moment, right? The 6 of Cups has a lot of comforting energy to it. And sometimes when we return back to the past, even in our minds, even if they're uncomfortable memories, they're comfortable because they're familiar. And so it's easy. It's just like a pattern, right? It's easy to go back into them to the point where we don't even realize that we're doing it. And so I feel like this month you become much more self-aware and self-realized, that you realize when you are starting to slink back into the past, start playing out old narratives, start reliving old stories again, and it feels like you're able to kind of dead it on sight and go, no, I'm switching my attention into another direction, right? And that direction is into the Ace of Wands, so new creativity, new energy, which is really nice. I know this is kind of a interesting message that's coming in, but if you've been like low energy or like low libido or just like not feeling like really good in your body, it feels like that is about to shift. I see an increase in your general energy, but your sexual energy and your creative energy are one and the same, and so you may feel an increase in both of those. We also have the 6 of Wands, Jupiter and Leo, that expansion, and then we also have the Hierophant too. So in a way, you're actually growing kind of big and tall this month, because the Hierophant gives you roots. It has you committed to this new process. It also has you committed to seeing recognizable success for you in the future. And the only way to do that is to put 2 feet in. Don't forget, before the 6 of Cups comes the before the 6 of Wands comes the 5 of Wands, which is that battle. Every character in the 5 of Wands has 2 feet and 2 hands involved in what they're doing. And that's why this character comes out victorious. And so I see you just being disciplined enough, having boundaries with self, boundaries with your own mind and your emotion, to allow yourself to be temporarily uncomfortable by not returning back to familiar stories and memories, and instead, with 2 feet in, committing yourself to actualizing more of your now moment to give you greater momentum in the future. Does that make sense? It's a big energy of enough is enough. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to keep running around in circles. I have to stop this. And it's your birthday season, right? So you're kind of moving into a new year for yourself with your solar return, which means that there's new rules, there's new standards, and, you know, with new levels come new devils. And I think that this is just one little devil that, like, you haven't quite vanquished yet. But this is the month where you decide to starve it of attention, is how it feels like. Starve it of attention. What we feed energy into feeds it back to us. And so you're just going, that's enough. I'm done. Sit. There could also even be a little bit of this energy of you, like, no longer entertaining, and this came up, I think, in Cancer's reading as well, about, like, not entertaining, like, blasts from the past, or when these things pop up, or people who want to bring you down, like, memory lane, like, any of that. I just feel you saying, no. That's great. That's great, but no. I'm focused on now. Let's talk about now. Let's talk about in the future. Let's talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about the Yankees. Let's talk about anything else. I don't want to go there anymore. So there's also an energy of not allowing people to remind you of your past as well. Oh, Sagittarius, do you remember? No, I don't. No, I don't, because I'm living in the now, right? So I think that's cool. I think that that's a good thing. Because you're growing and you're changing a lot too. And you're not now who you were then. And so we don't need to bring, like, the old version of you back from the grave. Interesting, Sagittarius. Keep an eye on you for the rest of the month. Life reviews are anchors. Can keep you steady or can keep you down. Perspective check. Absolutely, Holly. Preach. 100% agree. Sheila! Sheila! I'm so happy you're here. Virgo reading was great. Yeah, check the timestamp. I gotta check the timestamp. Sheila! I feel like it's so quiet in the house today, and it's freaking me out. Oh, that's what it is. That's funny. They're reminding me that I rewarded recently. The energy was just getting a little much. And so I rewarded, and I made some new wards. So that's why it feels extra quiet, is because there isn't, like, an abundance of energy, like, in my house right now. Because I banished it. That's why. So it turns out my spell work is working, but I forgot about it. Buy mall tickets for the new Avatar movie, Eve. Maybe it'll be a work through. I never even saw the regular Avatar. What have I been watching? I'm rewatching Game of Thrones right now. I just, like, rewatch shows. I could probably take Sagittarius' message for myself. Like, Lauren, pick a new frickin' show. But I don't wanna. I need my comfort shows that feel very familiar to me. It's like an ADHD autistic thing. Again, systems. I need my systems. So let's see. Capricorn. I'm going to use the Rider-Waite for you. Yeah, I'm going to use the Rider-Waite for you. So we have 22. Thank God Eve is doing these timestamps, because mine aren't looking good. I'm like, it did not take me 2 minutes to do that reading. Thank God. Thank God for Eve. Because it's a Sunday, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe. Let's see. Capricorn. Wheel The Wheel of Fortune's been coming out a lot. The Star. And the Ten of Cups. Wow. The Knight of Swords and the Hermit. But just, first of all, you have a lot of major arcana cards. You have a tremendous amount of major arcana cards, first of all. The Wheel of Fortune is looking a little bit like Twister to me, because the Star is oftentimes a card of navigation, and it's just reminding me of like Twister, where's it gonna land, put your hand on like the red dot, that type of thing. With the Ten of Cups here, with Justice and the Knight of Swords. So, and then there's the Hermit. So, a little bit like Libra's reading. Maybe you're the... Capricorn, maybe you're the one that Libra is like self-advocating for, or advocating for this month. Because there's sort of this I wonder if it's gossip. With this Knight of Swords, sometimes that comes forward as like gossip for me. These readings are very strange today. So I'm getting this impression, Capricorn, that the energy this month is set up to reconnect you to your wider community, your soul family, that type of thing. Because it feels as if you got separated from them, perhaps because of gossip, or some kind of like false information that like forced you into hiding, forced you into like this hermit mode, that type of thing. That being said, energy is fluid, so you could have been connected to someone and maybe they hit a bit of bad luck, or someone was gossiping about them, something happened, and then they moved themselves out of the picture and they've kind of been on hiatus out into the nether worlds for a while, and they're coming back in. It just feels like this is a month of rectification. The Ace of Swords, true, about truth, about like the truth coming to light, about a situation that either had you or maybe someone else that you were connected to separated and put into separate corners because of falsities. That's why Justice is here. But there's some truth about it that's coming to light. With the Eight of Pentacles and the Tower and the Eight of Cups, there's some kind of digging. With the Queen of Swords too, there's some kind of digging that is happening. Either like it's coming back into your mind and you're going, maybe I should look back into this, or someone's bringing new information to you of like, hey, I checked into that and it wasn't all what we thought it was. But there is a solution here. There's balance being brought back into this situation. There's also a strong re-entry. And with this Ten of Cups, there's also an energy of like, they're happy to see you again, Capricorn. They're happy to see you again. Or you were very happy to see this other. It's kind of like this arms wide open, come on in type of energy. How interesting. And you know what? I never made a video on this because I don't necessarily like to give messages about that. About like comeuppance. When people get their comeuppance or divine justice or any of that stuff, because people can take those messages and just run with them to like a really scary place. So I tend to keep those downloads to myself, to be honest. But for the past few months, I have been pulling in some of these downloads about like truths being revealed, comeuppance, things being made right, from periods of time where something wrong happened. And I just see that you and Libra are seemingly a part of that. And again, Libra, as the Justice card, may be the one who is advocating for you. Interesting. That's very interesting. Cut all spiritual groups out because of so much shadow. Very interesting. I have a question. What do you... Here's my question. What should Capricorn be doing this December? Because a lot of this just feels like it's happening around you. It's happening around you. It's happening for you. And you're kind of just like the monkey in the middle. What should Capricorn be doing? Page of Wands. Being resourceful. And the Fool. With Strength. Being resourceful, taking risks. And fighting through any, like, imposter syndrome. Again, Capricorn, like, if people weren't being forthright about you, or people were talking about you, sometimes we can take other people's negative assessments of us and adopt them as our own assessment of self. And so it feels like the most important thing for you to do this month is one, with this Page of Wands, to work on your ability to be resourceful, to make something out of nothing. And with the Fool card, maybe like the idea here is like celebration. Is that regardless of anything that happened, if you kind of got put into this hermit phase, that you were still able to get by, you still took risks, you still worked with what you had, and you still built yourself up to a certain position, even if it was all by yourself. And that is something to really celebrate, and that you've established a sense of confidence and stability within yourself, regardless of whatever is happening around you. And that is a tremendous amount of personal and character development. That is something you can be really excited about. So even if these situations are rectified, and you are able to come back into like a bigger community, or reunite or reconnect with some people, you are reconnecting from a much higher and a much healthier place. So it really does all sort of shake out. So interesting. A lot of the monthly readings were kind of heavy too. It's just, it's just part of what's going on right now. Damn, I know a Cappy, this would be a real feel for. Yeah. I'll take it. Subject, but I saw a hot air balloon in the sky this morning, and it's cold here. I got excited like a little kid. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. Hi, Jenna. How are you? Cut out all spiritual groups because there's so much shadow. I get that. Everyone's got shadow, though. Really, I find that the issue is not with shadow. The issue is with ego. More often than not. But I think in spiritual spaces, I think in spiritual groups and cliques and friendships, like, we think that everyone's supposed to come forward as, like, their most actualized, higher self, right? But it's like, we're just people. None of us came into this world to be the Dalai Lama. You were not a Buddha. You live in Montana. It's like, I live in Jersey. It's like, we're just people. And so sometimes I think that we expect to walk into spiritual spaces or groups or friendships, and they're supposed to be so much higher and more elevated than the relationships or the groups you were in before you ascended. But they're not. Because we're all people. We all have our own bullshit. We all have bad days. Some days we have an attitude. Sometimes we take things personally. Sometimes we're just burnt out. Sometimes we misunderstand. Sometimes we jump to conclusions. And it's not an aspect of the shadow or the ego, or it's just an aspect of humanity, right? Which is why so many spiritual people spend so much time by themselves, because it's really difficult to be like bumping into people all the time. And so I think when people say they're spiritual, or it's supposed to be a group or a club or a friendship, like, there's this expectation of like a higher standard and conduct, or like code of conduct for behavior. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, but we also forget to leave room for other people's humanity and our own humanity as well. That we can show up sometimes and not be the best of ourselves. And like, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're any less spiritual. It doesn't mean that it's not a good friendship. It doesn't mean you're not supposed to be there. But it's like, we have to leave room to have grace for our humanity and other people's humanity. So many of my friends are spiritual people, and they're other readers. And some days they suck. Like, some days I'm like, this is not the best version of you today, Noodle. But it's fine, because in 2 days, they're going to work it out. There are days where I have friends that will hit me up for like a week, and the energy's all fucked up. The energy's all funny, and I'm like, this doesn't really feel in alignment with where I'm at right now. But then I immediately remind myself of how pretentious that is. That as a person, as someone's friend, as someone's partner, as someone's family member, as someone's anything, right? That I cannot allow them the space, that they have to energetically like meet me on my level all of the time. Like, we can't ever be out of sync. They can't have a bad week, or they can't, be struggling with something that You know, yes, you can. Yes, you can. How pretentious of me, you know what I mean? And so, because for me, that's not a friend, that's an accessory. If you are just coming in to compliment my energy, then you're just an accessory. Then you're a tool. It's not actually a relationship, right? There are plenty of times where I don't show up as my best self, and thank God my friends still love me. Because there are some days where I'm not feeling super spiritual. There are some days when I can be a real, and it's all right, because my friends know that in a couple days I'll probably be fine. That maybe I just need to vent, you know? Or maybe I just need to be left alone, or whatever it is. And then a couple days later, like, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm like, thanks. I'm glad you're feeling better too. And everything's fine. It's fine. I think in spiritual communities, we get so used to, like, writing people off. They're toxic. They're out of alignment. So we just write people off. Like, we leave no room for grace. We leave no room for evolution. We have no compassion for one another. And then we leave spaces because they're not spiritual enough. But, like, are we acting really spiritually? Would Jesus condone that behavior? Like, I don't know, probably not, you know? And so these are just things that I think about in my head. Yeah, exactly. Holly's really on the shit today. We meet each other where we are. Now, of course, if things are abusive, if they're toxic, if they're manipulative, of course, walk away from them. I've made spiritual friends that were really bad people, and I'm not friends with them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay too, but it's just important to have discernment, you know? It's the competition, jealousy. Yeah, but from where I sit, don't forget, I'm a rising Libra. Jealousy towards another, in actuality, is a feeling of inferiority with self. Because if I don't feel inferior, then I'm not jealous of another person. I'm only jealous of another person if I think that they have something that I can't also have. Or if they are somehow better than me. But no one can make me feel inferior without my consent. So jealousy of another is really inferiority of self. And when you remember that, you can actually have compassion when other people are jealous or competitive or send you the evil eye or whatever it is. Because I see that and I go, you're feeling real bad right now. You're feeling bad about yourself. You're feeling bad about where you're at. You have something going on, and I'm like an easy scapegoat for that. And that means it has nothing to do with me. It would be anyone else. Do you know what I mean? If I wasn't here, you'd be jealous of someone else. You'd be mad at someone else, you know? And there are times when we all get jealous, and there are times when we all get competitive. It happens. I get jealous sometimes, but I check myself and I go, what's the problem? What's the issue? I'm like, I don't feel good about myself. I feel bad right now. It feels unfair. Okay, well, how do we rectify that? I do the inner work. And then all of a sudden, I go from being jealous to being inspired. And I go, look at that person. They are doing really well. What do they know that I don't know? I need to do some more research. I gotta stay on top of my own shit. And immediately, from just 5 minutes of self-consciousness, I am already on a better track. You know? Preach it. Preach it. Jealousy is the fear of losing what you have. Envy is wanting what someone else has. Yeah. But again, it's only jealousy and it's only envy if you think that you cannot have it too. If you remember that you can have it too, that you can put in the work, that you can study, you can better yourself, you can operate in a new strategy. When you remember that you can have it too, then you don't have to be jealous anymore. And also, not for nothing, but the systems of patriarchy and capitalism set us up intentionally to be jealous and competitive with each other. So that way, we are continually hustling ourselves towards owning the means of production. So again, you have to remember that some of this stuff is the conditioning that capitalism puts into us. It's just like women. Why do you think women have such a hard time being friends with each other? Because we are taught from the time that we are just little nuggets that you are my competition. You are not my competition. You are existing in the same space as me. You are not my competition, and I am not your competition. And if anything, if we can join forces, we can consolidate our power and we can overthrow the patriarchy. And isn't that a wonderful way to spend a Sunday afternoon? I think so. I think so. And it's all perspective. It just depends on how you want to see it. A lot of these are choices. Envy and jealousy, it feels like the Eight of Swords. Yeah. These groups are filled with that. Spiritual leaders. I'm about teamwork. Yeah, exactly. Lauren should get a YouTube channel or something. It would be so cool. It'd be so cool. Lauren got a YouTube channel. Okay, I have to finish these. I have Aquarius. I don't know. I'm going to let you finish the timestamps because I'm 100% already screwed up these timestamps. Okay. Aquarius. What's going on in December for you? The people who watch this on the replay and see, like, these huge gaps in the timestamps are going to be so confused. They're going to think, like, Capricorn got, like, a 20-minute reading. The Witch Moon. So much. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Sheila. The Four of Pentacles, Aquarius. Ooh, the Star. Here you are coming back out. And the Knight of Cups. Oh, interesting. Should I stay or should I go? So one, I see you this month, Aquarius, trying to decide like what to conserve and what to share. I think you're able to do both. I think there's something here about like quality over quantity, working smarter, not harder, because there are aspects of your energy that need to be conserved so that way you don't run as empty as you normally do. This can also obviously be talking about your resources, but then you have another jug right here that's also pouring out from the Knight of Cups, which is very expansive. It is focused on connection. It's focused on love, that type of thing. And so I think you're trying to understand like a lot of like the conversation we just had. It's interesting that all the tangents that were going on today kind of match up with what's coming out for the next sign. Learning again what to conserve and what to share and how to create like healthier boundaries in your life, like when you need your own time to replenish, to kind of separate from everything that's happening for you, and when it's time to go back in and connect. Aquariuses aren't always like the most emotional people necessarily. They love people, but like at a distance. They're not always really, really good at emotional intimacy. And so I think that part of what you're doing this month, especially because she's naked, it's talking about vulnerability, is learning how to practice emotional vulnerability while also keeping your boundaries in place. Because oftentimes we will place boundaries, but then we never like extend past them, right? So it's like, I'm not going to give too much of myself to people, and so you end up giving none of yourself to people. I'm not going to overwork myself, and so you end up not working at all. Like we as people, we're prone to go to extremes, to either side of the pendulum. And so I think here you're just learning, again, how to conserve, how to save without completely depriving yourself, how to honor your energy without isolating yourself, how to connect with others and explore even just the idea of emotional intimacy without giving them everything, how to put yourself out there without bearing everything for the world to see. You're just learning that balance. It's probably a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it's kind of like a seesaw. You're going like this all month, but you're finding a sense of equilibrium in it, which I think is nice. With the Ace of Swords and the Seven of Wands up at the top, and again, a lot of this feels self-motivated. It's like you're trying to push yourself, you're trying to challenge yourself to get over any blockages or hurdles because they seemingly are creating resistance for you. They're creating an issue or a stagnancy in your life. You're recognizing how often you do go to one or the other extremes, right? It's like feast or famine. And so you're trying to figure out how to kind of adjust your portion sizes when it comes to money, when it comes to your energy, when it comes to emotional intimacy, when it comes to connecting with others. So you're spinning plates a little bit. It's hitting different areas, but it's all still the same core issue. But I think that it looks very likely that you're going to kind of master this. Two of Cups. Yeah, Two of Cups. Which for me, if you're on my Patreon, I just did a big article about this, and I call this my Pledge of Allegiance card. It's a meeting of allies and equals. And I think that's really nice when you are not feeling less than, or you are not feeling as though you have to save other people. You can just let things be, meet people where they are, spend where it feels necessary, save your money where it feels necessary, connect when it feels right or you're encouraged to do so, and pull back when you need that time for yourself. Just understanding your own rhythms a little bit more. And I think that's helping you overcome like a core issue that manifests itself in a lot of different areas. So this is really good. Let's see. Always down for a good preface. Definitely in it today, Lauren. Oh, that's good. Good, I'm glad. Jupiter bring gifts when Saturn is satisfied. That's right. I felt like that was such such a Jenna title. If you guys don't watch Psychonautica, you should. Because normally I don't talk in like astrology jargon. It's like, I feel like Jenna right now. Jupiter gifts. Saturn is satisfied. That's something she would say. So let's see. Pisces. Oh, you just came out. Look at that, Pisces. The Hangman. So Pisces, what are you doing in December? King of Swords. Knight of Wands. Jesus. None of these energies match each other, which I think is kind of hysterical. Okay, so I see the Four of Cups. It's been coming out a lot today. And I see the Ten of Cups here. What's missing? The Six of Cups. The Tribe. The Tribe is missing here, Pisces. So, you know what they're showing me? It's from How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey and Cindy Lou, who is sitting out her window, and she's going, "Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you?" It's this idea of like, where are my people? I can't find them. I'm lost. I don't know where I am. Like, it feels very Neptunian, right? Neptune just went direct. It feels a little bit like that. It feels like the Hangman, the King of Swords, and the Knight of Wands are all different approaches, Pisces, that you have to making friends or to making community or getting in relationships. This Hangman feels a little bit like Julia Roberts in Runaway Bride, that when she doesn't know how she likes her own eggs because she just adopts like whatever the preferences or the interests of the people that she's dating. It feels very like unself-actualized. It's the idea of, I have to be like the people that I want to be friends with, right? This King of Swords is a completely different direction, which is very self-actualized. This is who I am. This is how I feel. This is, this is what Pisces is about. And then there's this Knight of Wands, which kind of comes in, stirs things up, creates a little bit of chaos, and then is like out. And so it's interesting. One part of December for you is figuring out how to share space. We know that you can hold space, right? This is a message that comes out from time to time. We know that you can hold space for others. We know that you can hold space for yourself, but can you share space with others? Again, in equality, have it be a little bit more egalitarian. You have a bit of a chameleon and a bit of a shapeshifter type energy about you, Pisces. And again, we have the Four of Cups and we have the Ten of Cups, feeling a little bit like outside of the wider community and wondering where your tribe is. But part of the issue is that when you go in and you try and create a tribe or find soul family or make friends, it's the idea of like, oftentimes people get a version of you, but they don't always get you. And it entirely depends on your mood that day, whether you feel like being a chameleon and just like being really kind of like homogeneous, like in the group, right? Like whatever you guys are about, it's cool. Like, yeah, I like that too, no problem. Versus going, no, this is how I feel, being really kind of assertive. And then like the Knight of Wands, just like coming in for shits and giggles. Everybody gets a version of you, but nobody actually gets like you in your totality, who you are, which does encompass all of these energies, but it's like they just get a version of you instead of who you actually are. And so I think a lot of what December is for you is about allowing yourself to just be with other people and not trying to show up in such a way that you think they are going to be the most accepting of. If you're around like a lot of hard asses or very talkative or assertive people, that aspect of you is going to come out. If you're around people that are like a little bit more like whimsical or a little bit more laid back, that's the part of you that's going to show up. If you are around people who are movers and shakers like that Knight of Wands, that is how you're going to show up. But you shouldn't just be trying to assimilate into a group. You should be showing up as who you are, regardless of who is around you, and then observing whether or not those connections make sense or if they're harmonious. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Don't give people just a version of you that you think that they're going to like because you require acceptance from them. Allow yourself to show up as you are and then see if they will accept you. Very good, because that's the only way you're going to figure out if they're actually in it for you or if they're in it because you are just endorsing, co-signing who they are and what they're doing. How will you know if they are an accurate reflection of you if you are too busy just trying to reflect them back to themselves? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You don't have to do the whole dog and pony show. You don't have to do it. And that's likely why times you found yourselves in different groups or different friendships and still felt a little bit on the outside. I'm in a room full of people and I still feel alone because none of those people actually know who you are. You don't have to shapeshift for them. And December is the month that I think you're just figuring that out. Yeah. So, Pisces. Very good. Very good. Such interesting readings. Some of them are kind of heavy. A little bit heavy, but the monthlies were a little bit heavy too, honestly. Is that in? Yeah, Jenna from Psychonautica. Eve is so fast. I have General on my TV, which is where I was chatting from. Then I went on my computer so I could chat. It's naturally signed into this one. If you want to comment with this account. You got so many accounts. You got so much stuff going on, girl. I'm working on this energy right now. Albie mentioned me, so I was like, alrighty then. I see that flow. I see that flow, and I'll raise you a comment. I was vibing Pisces too. Oh, good. With your channel name as well earned, Jen. I think so too. Jen is one of the best readers I've ever had come through my school. She knows that. She knows that. I have worked with a lot of intuitives, both in my school and outside of my school, and I can wholeheartedly say that Jenna is one of the most talented readers I've ever seen. Hands down. Hands down. Yeah. Jenna did go through my school. So did Sheila, so did Kaz, so did Lex, Bella, Becca. I had a lot of students. A lot of students. I took a break in the fourth quarter. I still run like my workshops and my meditations and my spreads and all that stuff on my Patreon, but I was doing my live Zoom groups every week, sometimes twice a week for almost a year, like 8.5 months. But in the fourth quarter, I decided to take a break because I needed it. I was just so burnt out. I needed a break. And I also wanted to work on like new programs and all of that type of stuff. And so I've been slowly trying to plug away at that. I always forget how much work stuff is, though. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so much work. It's so much work. I forgot. Shit. Because you know what it is? I did my original tarot school, like last year around December. I put up my original tarot school. And I forgot how much work it was that I had been prepping for like months and months and months. And it's good. I like my original tarot school. But I'm also I'm rethinking the fundamentals of tarot and how we learn it. And more so of what we learn when we learn tarot, it's how we learn it, I think is so important. Just the order of things that can kind of make or break your education when it comes to divination. And so that's also something that I'm thinking about. And as someone who is sort of neurospicy and has things like ADHD and undiagnosed adult autism and like all of these things, I realized that like I learn in a different way than a lot of people, and it made me realize that especially a lot of this is coming through sort of my interactions and the videos that I'm doing on TikTok, and I'm realizing that there's a plethora of students who want to learn tarot and are having a really difficult time because they're a little neurodivergent, and the way that tarot is traditionally taught in the order and the manner in which it's taught is really difficult for those students to make links and understand it, especially in the last sort of quarter of my classes, especially my Zoom groups. I really narrow in on like very structured reading. So things like elemental dignities and making links and reading the aspects and like building spreads and all of that type of stuff. And I realized that the way we learn tarot oftentimes does not create like the necessary links that allows us to build firm foundations. For example, when most of us come into tarot and learn it, the first thing that we do is we learn the major arcana, which are these huge, overarching, archetypal fool's journey type of energies, right? They're very big, they're very overwhelming in a lot of ways. And we're working with sort of these broader concepts. And I find that most people completely exhaust themselves by the time they get done with the major arcana, only to realize that they have like 58 more cards to learn in the minor arcana. And it's so overwhelming. So something is getting breezed past, something is getting rushed through. We're overwhelmed, we're overstimulated. And tarot is one, it's a lifelong study. It never ends. And nor should it, because it's fucking amazing. It's so delightful and it's so interesting to the mind. But I just realized that when we want to learn something as adults who have not a lot of bandwidth, or again, have neurodivergency or ADHD, like there has to be classes, there has to be systems, there has to be programs that cater to us, so that way we actually understand at a fundamental level like what we're doing, so we feel confident in ourselves, and also develop our own language and our own style as readers, because so many readers are trying to fit themselves into the system of tarot but not developing like their own unique voice as a reader. I don't want a reading from a reader who can just regurgitate to me what's in the little white book. I want my readers to know what's in the little white book. I want them to be able to give me the history and the structure. If someone lays out a spread for me, I want them to be able to show the math. Show me how you got that answer, right? There's an aspect of my program that is very structured to the point of being a pain in the ass. Like, show me how you did that. What if the sun means this instead? What are the links here? How are the elements working together? And there's also an element of my program that is completely like no rules, that a lot of the girls will tell you. I'll pull up a portrait from the 18th century and I'll go, everything you know about tarot, throw it away. Storyboard me a reading. What's going on in this 18th century picture right here? Pull me a spread, right? I like to do both because we require both. And so it's just really going into a lot of my thought process about developing new programs and classes and how we learn, how it would be easier for us, developing your own unique style and voice as a reader as well, what you want tarot to do for you, all of it. All of it. And that also goes into like personal practices. Like I've had a lot of clients recently come in needing like assistance spiritually because there's like a lot going on and they're kind of lost in the sauce. And a question that I always like to ask them is like, what do you want spirituality to do for you? Because we have an awakening, we come into these spaces and everything comes down to, well, how are you going to serve the collective? What can you do for the Lord today? Like the whole thing. And no one ever asks you, like, what do you actually want out of spirituality? What do you want out of tarot? What do you want your personal practice to look like? What spirits or demons or deities or what do you want to work with? Like, what do you want out of it? And all my clients, they look at me like, I never thought about it. Like, I know, because nobody asks us that. You're just supposed to, it's just like learning the major arcana. You're trying to absorb all of this information and get overstimulated. It's the same thing when you start learning about spirituality or witchcraft or this practice or this modality. We just kind of grab onto it because we think that we're supposed to, never asking ourselves, is this appropriate for me? Does this work for me? Do I feel good about this? Can I maintain this? Is it working? Any of that stuff. None of it. And so it's important to ask these questions and as a teacher to teach from that perspective. My job, and my students will tell you time and time again, I'll say that my job is to purely give you tools in your toolbox that then you can use. A lot of the students that went through my class, they will not use elemental dignitaries. They will not read the aspects. Some of them will not do storyboards for portrait readings, but now they have experience. They've been introduced to it. It's in the toolbox. They can use it if they want to. May! My first live with you, and I have to turn into a new priesthood. Oh, J-Dub! I'm so glad. Thanks. Turns out stars. In the best one. Oh, I love you, Holly. Talented, dedicated, can see through the veils, and put spirit stuff together. The stuff Jen is putting out there. Yeah! think we all did. I know I needed a shift. Aren't you a generator? I am a manifesting generator. Yes. I love that you took a break. Self-care for days. Yes. I mean, I've been working my ass off, so it's like, it's not like it doesn't really feel like a break, but sort of. Extra money, I want to work with you, especially working with spirits. Yeah, that's a big thing. It's hard. Again, when you have an awakening and you start picking up on spirits, no one tells you how to work with them. And that's the thing. Different spirits require different things. There are some spirits that require you to feed them. There are spirits that don't. There are some spirits that require a lot more attention. There are spirits that don't. You'll have deities that will circle in seasonally. You'll have deities that will be there all of the time. Maybe you think that you're working with angels. Maybe you're actually working with demons. Surprise. Like, it totally depends. It's so everyone's team and what your team requires and how that relationship works is really important. And also what's important, and this is sort of like a pro fucking VIP tip for you, but what's also really important is how your spirits work with each other. That's something that it took me a really long time to learn. Especially when you're doing deity work, because each spirit has different energies. And again, if you've gone through my course, we've done the energy dictionary before. Not all spirits have harmonious energy. And so there will be certain entities that I will work with individually for like a small period of time. And then I'll take a step back from, because their energy does not mesh with the rest of my team. And a lot of what I've actually been doing over the last like 3 months or so is kind of curating my particular spiritual team in such a way that all of the energies that I work with, the deities, I mean, they all work together really harmoniously, which creates such a beautiful sense of calm for me, and it makes it easier for me to do what it is that I need to do. Because if I have a deity over here and a deity over there, and they have very different energies and they're giving me very different advice, one energy is like, just relax, it's fine, work on self-love, work on bringing the anxiety down. And I have another energy that's like, you need to push it, there's a window of opportunity, you need to go. These are two different pieces of advice, and now I'm stuck in the middle and I don't know what to do. That's not going to work for me, right? And so these are just a lot of the hiccups that I've had in my own personal spiritual practice that I've had to flesh out. And so it's, important to figure out how you work with different spirits, because different spirits require different things. One deity or one demon or one ancestor may require more from you than another one will. But it's also really important how they occupy space together. It's really important. May. Hi, Bella. Howdy, hey. I've gotten psychically attacked for years, including therapist office. I have a handle on it now. They have signatures. There's a learning. Well, a lot of them, clearing spirits that are stuck. Stuck? Stuck where? I've never encountered a spirit that was stuck. Like, human spirits, they all cross over. Deities and demons, angels, they all move about. It's sort of the idea of like when you cleanse your house and you have to open up all the windows to let the spirits out. How the spirits get in? Through the wall. Like, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you have to ask yourself this question. I have to let the spirits out through the window. How did they get into the house? Like, we have to ask ourselves these questions sometimes. It's just like hauntings. People talk about hauntings and ghosts, but the actual spirit, like the actual soul of a human being isn't haunting or stuck somewhere. It's just like an impression, right? So if someone experienced like a huge amount of trauma in an area, that kind of leaves an energetic imprint on the area that kind of just runs like a loop. But that person, they have crossed over. They have gone. And for every human being that's here, for everyone that considers themselves to be an intuitive or a spirit worker in any capacity, imagine how many more spirits there are up there around us that have things covered. You know what I mean? Of low vibration. I see. I'm a bit of a debater, because that's the thing about, we talk about like low vibration in the spiritual community as well, but that has a negative connotation, and like part of unity consciousness, if you want to call it that, it's about neutrality, that there is not necessarily a thing as like dark and light. There's not a high, there's not a low. They're different frequencies. Like if you tap into 24th dimensional energy and you tap into negative 24th dimensional energy, it's the same thing. They feel the exact same. They're just on a spectrum. It's just like a xylophone. So it's not really high or low. It's just a little bit of a different color. Do you know what I mean? Ariel! I barely have internet where I pop in. I was thinking that before. I was like, oh, I hope she comes in, but she's on vacation. And I don't know what her Wi-Fi's like. Had a guest for a few days, and like a spirit of my house went on vacation in Bali, and I did a cleanse. Yeah, you're such a magnet though, and if you're tapped in, or if you're a natural medium, is really what it is. If you're a natural medium, it's just like the Motel 6. You just have like a vacancy sign flashing over your head, and like spirits will be drawn to it. So sometimes you just have to ward or cleanse or anything like that. Hello, mama. My throat. It's so hard because the heat's on and it brings in so much dry air, but it's also very cold outside, and it's cold and dry, and it's hot and dry, and so it's like the mix of these two different very dry air types are just killing me. Oh, my little noodles. I love you guys so much. The band is almost back together. You called us all in. Good, I'm glad. I didn't even have to put out an e-blast. I have so many decks over here. It's crazy. Did you see my new deck, Sheila? I posted on the community board. This one. The Hieronymus Bosch deck. I love this box. I keep thinking in my head about, like, if I were to have a tarot deck, what would the packaging be like? And I like, I like that it's got like this little pearly gates type of moment here. Oh, shit. Look what I did. This is why I can't have nice things. Like, when you open up the box. Isn't that so pretty? It's like a novel. I love it. Ah, so pretty. But as I said in the beginning of the stream, if you are in any way like a tarot purist or a Rider-Waite-Smith purist, this deck is going to infuriate you. Because, as I said, the major arcana has been renamed and new meanings given to the cards, and instead of 4 suits, this deck has 8 suits, 3 of which are birds, skates, and swords, and each suit has 1 ace and 6 core cards. So if you are in any way a tarot purist, this deck is going to infuriate you. But if you're like a little chaos gremlin, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. And I love the metallic foil on these cards. Oh my god, they're so gorgeous. Can't wait to see it in action. Oh my god, Jenna. I saw this deck and I thought of you. I was like, this is just the kind of chaos that Jenna would love. Can I ask when men are going to catch up spiritually? I think a lot of them already have. One, I think that there is an abundance. I was on live stream on TikTok with one of my friends the other day. And she had said something similar. She had said something to the effect of, well, women are just naturally like more spiritual than men, etc., etc. One, I think it's almost 2023, and we do have to be mindful that not everybody falls into gender binaries, right? So that's really important. Not everyone considers themselves to be a man or a woman, right? So that's important. Secondly, I think that intuition, emotion, spirituality are not nurtured into cis men the same way that they are nurtured in women, right? So if men as a whole, as a gender, as a cisgender, if they spiritually don't feel as caught up to women, it's because they too are suffering under the patriarchy that will not allow them softness, spirituality, or connection to their emotions. And we also have to remember that a lot of these cis men are spiritual, but they are spiritual through organized religion, which again is the extension of the patriarchy. So we have to have grace for that. There are plenty of cis men that I know that are incredibly tapped in and incredibly intuitive, but they don't talk about it because it is very common for a cis woman to come out and be a tarot reader or to be a medium or to be psychic, right? We are the majority in this field. Men, not so much. And so even the ones that are caught up, that are tapped in, oftentimes don't feel safe enough, is what I want to say, safe enough to publicly demonstrate their skills in this arena, right? About the history behind this deck, there's a lot going on here. Presents differently. That's why the bridge is so relevant. Yes. Oh no, Ariel! I love you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're on vacation. The masculines I've had the opportunity to work with spiritually over the years have been amazing, but they had to put in a lot of work. If you think about all of the work, I mean, let's talk about me. When I think about all of the work that I have put into myself and have continued to have to put into myself to undo internalized misogyny, decolonization, all of that stuff, like, it's tremendous. It is absolutely tremendous. So imagine if I was actually like a cis male having to do it. Like, that's even worse, right? And again, I've known plenty of men who are spiritual, who are tarot readers and are absolutely profound, gifted beyond measure, right? And so sometimes you just got to give them a chance. And also remember that they have been conditioned and groomed to reject that part of themselves. The patriarchy and white supremacy hurts everyone. Hi, David. Being one that is, I am. That's right. No problem. Yeah, you see, I'm nodding so hard. Me, always preaching. Always teaching. You know me. Pisces is tickling your throat. No, it's been that way for like a couple weeks. With fall, my fall allergies started, and then the heat came on, and again, it's dry air. I also burn incense. I'm also a smoker, so there's a lot of there's a lot of reasons why I'm coughing and backed up. I was talking about it in one of the readings. I don't remember which one, but I was like coughing through one of the zodiac readings I was doing a couple weeks ago, and somebody commented, and they're like, "You shouldn't have put out this message because you're congested and you're coughing, and obviously you have a problem with your throat chakra, and there's resistance to the message." And I was like, hop off me right now. I'm a human. Maybe there's resistance in the message. Maybe I'm a human being. Like, maybe I should see like an ear, nose, and throat doctor. Like, maybe that's the issue. And then I blocked them, and now they don't live here anymore. Now they don't live with us. Yeah, but you know how people on the internet, you know. Brooke, hi! Everybody's got something to say. It's always like 99.9% of you will be engaged and tapped in and happy to be here and happy for the messages. And like there'll always be like that one person that's like, you didn't do it that well, or, you know, have to put in their 2 cents. To which I always say, if you're so goddamn smart, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Why don't you put yourself on the internet for like thousands of people and share your gift with the world? So that way I can learn from you. It takes a lot of bravery to do this. Like, it's just like, I'm used to it now because I've been doing it for a while, but like it takes a lot of balls to just like stand in front of the internet as like an individual and go, I have something to say. I think I have a gift. I want to share a message. Like, it takes a lot of bravery to like follow a dream, to put yourself out there, especially on days when maybe like you don't feel good, or, you know, maybe you are going through a hard time, or maybe you are congested, and then to have someone like throw it in your face is like this gotcha moment. It's like, well, if you're so smart, if you're so super psychic, then make a YouTube channel so that way we can learn from your messages. Those who can't do criticize. I've never received a complaint, a criticism from any of my students, from anyone that's ever booked a reading, from other readers who do the work that I do. Not a one. It's always like user 8675309 who's like always got something to say. Which is fine. Whatever. But again, like I said, they don't live here anymore. So I remember you posting about that. Every once in a while, someone will try and say something like real slick to me in my comments, and I just like very easily kind of just like go, and I'll respond, but then I'll usually block them. So you have to catch the comebacks quickly because they hop off. And this is why I don't speak. Yeah, but Meta, you never say anything bad. You never say anything bad ever. Those are funny moments. Someone said my readings were a cyberbullying attack. Okay, what? What? You are least likely to bully anyone at all. You just bully? That's crazy. Jenna would never bully anyone. I might, but Jenna wouldn't. Jenna wouldn't. No way. If you push me hard enough, I might bully you. Or if you pick on, like, one of my little noodles, like one of my little friends, forget about it. Forget about it. You poke one of my little sunny friends, you're out of here. Mm-mm. Yeah, it's not my number no more. What are you gonna do? But again, that's part of the internet. It's part of the internet. Like, it comes with the territory, right? I was talking to one of my other reader friends, and we were hemming and hawing about just like the algorithms and like all of that type of stuff, and she was really struggling with them, and I was like, listen, it comes with the territory. It's like, you're online, you have a business, you have these platforms, they have each algorithm, each platform has different rules, they like different things, they like different levels of consistency, and it just comes with the program, right? And so sometimes it's just easier to accept it. It doesn't matter. You could cure world hunger and someone would still crawl up your ass and ask you why you didn't, like, solve climate crisis at the same time. It's like, you can't, some people will always find something to be annoyed about or criticize. I think my worst comment was that you're a stupid reader and no wonder nobody listens to me. Okay, first of all, that person can kick rocks all the way straight back to hell where they came from. You are a fantastic reader, and the amount of subscribers or followers, whatever it is that you have, is not an indication of your skill. First of all. Second off, you are an amazing reader, you are beloved in your community, and you are also widely respected by every other reader that we all know in this community. And that's really what matters. Because people can say whatever it is that they want, but when there are people that do what you do, that know how hard it is, and are qualified and equipped to actually make a proper assessment of the work that you do, and they are all in a unified agreement that you have talent and you operate in integrity, those little voices don't matter. What do they know? It's not bullying. It's assertive stance when you're defending those in your wings. Yeah, absolutely. I can't stand a bully. I cannot stand a bully. I think your Mr. School helped me a lot with that. Good. I'm glad. Need to give my girl her money back. She done said you told her I'm cheating, and now we got all sorts of problems. The hell is wrong with you? Who are you talking to? Finish the readings? Yes. Oh, yes. We finished. I did Pisces at the end. Yeah, no. Me? I can almost guarantee you that I didn't tell anyone was cheating. Your girl? Who's your girl? What are you talking about? You! Okay. I know. You're all amazing. You're all good readers. That's true. That's absolutely true, Brooke. Confidence in self is all that matters. Good for you, Eve. Thanks. This is not. I don't even know who he is. I don't even know who he's talking about. As I said before, 99.9% of the people that come on my channel and the people that go on your channels and watch your readings are all really lovely and supportive people, right? But there's always going to be the 1% of people who just got to do what they got to do. They just got to stir the pot, you know? Always got to be one for demonstration. Yeah. That's right, Matthew. That's beautiful. Cheers. That's great. Yeah, there's always going to be one. It's like, why are you yelling at me? I don't know who you are. I don't know what reading you're talking about. I do not compute. You gotta love the live lessons. I know. That's so funny. That's so funny. Email me. Send me a letter. I don't know what to tell you. I also don't give refunds for completed readings, so it's in the contract that you sign when you book with me. So I don't know what to tell you. I almost burnt the grilled cheese trying to tag him out for that. Oh, that's so. Oh, I should. Here, let me see. As a moderator. There we go. Now we have more mods. Jenna and Matthew are mods. It's kind of fun. You gotta keep Eve on her toes. Oh man. Well, what time is it? Ooh, it's 1 o'clock. Well, oh, your poor grilled cheese. Well, I guess we're done for the day. Called in a hater by talking about haters. Yeah, probably. How funny. If you wanted to talk no more, not yet. Been here in a while. I know, I'm so happy to see you. It's always so nice to see you. More blue. Just like everyone. Everyone's just gonna be a mod in my streams. I don't even stream that much. I fear the power has already gone in my head. Wield it wisely. Wield it wisely. Very good. All right, so I think we're done for the day. Thank you, Eve, for time stamping because I am so eternally bad at it. So I really appreciate you. I'm sure anyone who watches this on the replay will be very grateful for it. Thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with me for a few hours and pulling some messages and speaking some tangents, blocking some bullies, whatever it may be. I love you very, very much, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you so much. Bye.